Welcome to the One for the Road podcast. My name is Mr. K. Alongside me, as always, is C Square. But tonight you will see a third person. For the first time ever, we have a guest. Perk has joined us. Full disclosure, Perk is my son.
Hello. You can probably see the resemblance, but
Yes.
Yeah.
uh I was told to shout out your guys' number one fan, Allie. So
All right.
Allie knows who they are. They've told me that that they're your number one fan, so
Good deal. And the
Allie is awesome.
unanimity.
If he or she watches this, that's awesome.
Yes. Tonight's episode, the Epstein files. We thought we'd look into the Epstein files. We'll tell you what this podcast isn't going to be. We'll tell you what this podcast is going to be. We're going to review the Epstein Files Transparency Act and the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein files over the last 2 months. A little bit of background. Let me do my two-sentence summary of the Epstein debacle, let's call it. Jeffrey Epstein and his partner Ghislaine Maxwell perpetrated heinous sex crimes involving upwards of 1,200 victims for at least 23 years until their arrests in 2019 and 2020, respectively. Epstein hung himself in his jail cell in 2019 while Ghislaine is serving a 20-year sentence in federal prison. Ironic that the arrests and conviction of these scumballs were done during Trump's first term in office.
That's
Basically, go ahead, C squared.
that is quite interesting. The fact that she keeps asking Trump for a pardon
Yes. Oh my
is
God.
quite interesting.
Yeah.
And then
And horrid. Basically, these two scumballs are the devil incarnate, if you ask me, on a level with Hitler. So the public is quite interested in anyone who has had any contact with them. So go ahead, C squared.
so my thought is this is a trick that goes back to a bunch of intelligence agencies dating back probably to early FBI years with Mr. J. Edgar Hoover, and
Yeah.
so that this is nothing new. The crimes are probably considerably more heinous than they were in the past. But I think this whole blackmail of people, which I think this is what this has been all about, um, uh, and maybe even money laundering too, because Mr. Epstein, with no apparent financial background, was managing hundreds of millions of dollars of people's money at one point in time. And so, very interesting. That seems like a nice little money laundering system going on right there. And
Right, right. I think his crimes were quite heinous and quite unique, involving sexploitation and prostitution of underage minors.
yeah, which makes for great blackmail. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So, what we're not going to talk about is Epstein and Maxwell's biographies and how Epstein made his fortunes. I mean, we could go on and on, but we're going to just stick with the Transparency Act in the last 2 months. So, things we're not going to talk about, we'll leave to another podcast, is Epstein and Maxwell's biographies or how Epstein made his money, timelines of Epstein and Maxwell's abuse of minors, conspiracy theories concerning
Oh, I'm
Epstein's
out.
death. Oh, I know you're going to crumble at these next two. These are for other podcasts. We will not have. We're not going to do a 4-hour podcast and
The
go over. I mean, that's a novel. This debacle. The other one is the conspiracy theory concerning Epstein's plea deal in 2008. which was something else. And we're not going to talk about Epstein Island. So,
Yeah. Well, so this really can go back to the level of what is going on within the past couple of months, which is really the Don saying, nothing to see here, move
yes.
along. And then people like Mr. Massey and MTG having the nerve to essentially get a law passed and make life miserable for the Don, which apparently that favor can be returned, which is MTG leaving Congress, and
Yeah.
so, but really, it is. You know, one thing I'll say that is kind of off the subject here, although it is somewhat around the rim of this topic, which is you have Bondi and Cash blundering this deal, maybe purposeful and maybe not, but you have Dan Bongino, Super Dan Bongino, saying, I'm out, dude. Where is the exit to this place, man?
Right.
Which you can totally see. He basically screwed up his uh, career as a broadcaster by taking that position and pretty much making a fool of himself, which is the scenario of Bondi and Cash. They're either just bought in, completely incompetent, making a fool of themselves. Who knows what's going on up there? But the bottom line is obviously a total circus up there, depending on what you believe is going on. And
Right, right. At this point, I just think it's just gross incompetence. So,
I don't know. I think Dan and Cash going out in the American public and essentially having to say some stuff that was highly unbelievable and looking like they were the cat that ate the bird. And
right,
as they deliver that news, man,
right,
that I think that was probably way too much for old Dan Bongino.
right,
And I look at this. Actually, somebody sent me some about Bannon today, telling Trump about some of the thoughts that he has and how these his thoughts on how the administration should be run should immediately be taken into consideration. I'm like, does he even pick up the phone for you anymore? Is number one. And number two is maybe we should use Dan Bongino as a lesson. And
right, right,
for careful what you say, you actually might get appointed to a position, and then you have to actually do something
right.
meaningful, and you make
Execute.
a damn fool out of yourself. And,
Right,
it's
right.
like,
Be competent. Right. Okay, so as a quick reminder, the Epstein files refers to a massive collection of documents related to disgraced financier and child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, as we mentioned earlier. These files include flight logs, witness testimony, and a potential client list of powerful individuals, which is what everybody wants to see and hear. Donald Trump's statements on this topic, where he has flip flopped like crazy during his campaign and into 2025, shifted from support to nothing to see here to Democratic hoax, which was a beauty. And ultimately, yeah, let's release them, but in an underwhelming fashion.
yeah, the underwhelming aspect. I think they think that the American public, the plebes, are willing are actually not that smart and are willing to accept third rate information. And I think they got taught a lesson on this. Like,
Yes.
we're not going away and we don't want a bunch of garbage.
Right.
This, I'm not sure. I heard this story one time, so I will illustrate that this may be fact or fiction, but the aspect is that they said somebody that they redacted all that information and blacked it out via the PDF, and somebody figured out a way to remove all the redactions inside a
Yeah,
PDF.
Bert, jump in on this.
Yeah,
You were the one who told me about this.
yeah, that I've been heavily following, and it's this. I so I'll get this out of the way. I want to believe that this was done by a good Samaritan, something, or like somebody like who maliciously complied of like, oh, I'll black everything out, but I'm gonna do it in the way that allows you to so what people found is a lot of the quote unquote redactions were actually just the black highlighter tool in Adobe. So they found you can basically just control C like the entire page, control V it into a different document, and everything's unredacted for you. But so I've been looking into some other stuff that people are talking about, and the funniest thing I found came from someone who claims to be a professional redactor. And so the redaction tool is only available in the Pro version of Adobe.
Yep.
So the question they were having is, given all of the cost cutting that this administration has been doing in the government, did they give the government the free version of Adobe to redact these files?
That's actually hilarious.
And it's definitely in the realm of possibility that they were going to open source Adobe Reader and using like the black highlighter instead of the redaction tool. And as Bert said, you just copy and paste it into Word, and it's like, voila! It's
And
all the it's all the text.
that's that's actually hilarious.
The
And
other funny thing that I haven't seen talked about as much as the copy paste. What also really cracks me up is that most news media is saying like hackers have unredacted the
Yeah.
files, and it's like, yeah, control F, control C, or sorry, C, control, and it's like, and it's but the other thing that I haven't seen talked about as much as the shoddy redaction method our government used is the other thing is if you search Trump in the files, you get no results. But if you do Trump face, you get like over 600 results.
yeah, it may be chocked full of a lot of redacted images. The funny thing that I saw, just to move on from the redaction thing, was a image that somebody put out where the person has got it up on his computer screen and he's whiting out his computer screen with the bottom all white. Everybody's got a sense of humor.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Wouldn't that be ironic that they used a freeware version to do this redacting?
Right.
And
So let's fast forward a few months. After much public pressure, the Epstein Files Transparency Act got passed. The law passed by Congress and was signed by Donald Trump on November 19th. It requires that the U.S. Attorney General, the great Pam Bondi, to make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all files pertaining to the prosecution of deceased child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Within 30 days of the passage, this has to be done. So they got till December 19th. Uh, and yeah, one part is what will remain unredacted is the list of all government officials and politically exposed persons are supposed to, by this law, be unredacted. Uh,
Well,
yeah. The House of Representatives passed this 427 to 1. The lone dissenter from Louisiana, a Republican, Clay Higgins, thought there was enough information already out there we don't need anymore, was his reasoning to dissent. Unanimously passed through the Senate. Trump signed it into law the next day.
yeah, I am sure he was happy to do
Yeah,
that.
so let's fast forward to the day it was due, December 19th. So, like little kids who were given a school project, the DOJ waited to the day of the deadline and gave us some of the documents, not all, thereby missing their deadline. They get an F for that assignment. And by the way, you broke the law too. So Pam Bondi, who's supposed to be our U.S. Attorney General, and abiding by laws, decided to break this one.
Well, and then I hate to move on, but then they find what was it, another million documents. Where
Yeah.
where were those hidden in your desk
Right,
drawer, and you just happen to
right.
miss a million pieces of paper, or maybe they were
No, those
behind the
those
copy
were the ones that were
hard
on her
drive
desk.
with a missing hard drive
Yeah.
Yeah.
from an earlier incident.
So since Pam Bondi broke the law, when is she going to be prosecuted? What are the Dems doing? Well, they're
Well,
doing the. Go ahead.
I think Mr. Massey has said that if she doesn't comply very soon, that he is going to try and haul her up to Capitol Hill and make her life miserable. So we'll see about that.
Yes, yes, that's very good.
I
That's what
would
I
be
was going to
I
hit
would
next.
be checking if I was Mr. Massey. I would be checking under my car frequently.
And
Yeah,
Trump's not a fan.
yeah, to say the least.
Right. Yeah, to your point, they're, what is it called? Inherent contempt. They're going to bring them up on inherent contempt.
Yep.
You only have to have the House bring you up on inherent contempt and vote for you. You can disavow the Senate from this. They also want to fine her every day that she doesn't produce the documents. There's also been talks of impeaching her with real